Today we're diving into a pretty disturbing report. Doctors in Gaza are making some very serious allegations about the bodies of Palestinians that were returned by Israeli authorities. So we're going to break down exactly what they've presented. And right off the bat, this is the central claim. You can't get much more direct than this. Dr. Ahmed Al-Farah at Nasser Hospital puts it in the starkest terms possible. This is a powerful, direct accusation, and it really sets the stage for everything else we're about to look at. And this is the number at the very heart of this story. 90. 90 bodies of Palestinians returned by Israel to Gaza as part of a ceasefire agreement. And it's these 90 individuals that doctors say show signs of really severe mistreatment. So what exactly did these doctors see that led them to such a disturbing conclusion? Let's get into the specifics of what they reported. What's really crucial to understand here is the pattern they're describing. Doctors said that almost all of the bodies were blindfolded, with their hands cuffed. They pointed to gunshot wounds that were specifically located between the eyes. And on top of that, they're reporting scars and discolored skin that look consistent with beatings, and even, unbelievably, signs that the bodies were abused after death. It's this consistency across the bodies that really underpins the gravity of what they're claiming. And just to be crystal clear on the chain of events here, these claims are coming straight from the doctors at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. The bodies weren't just found somewhere. They were officially transferred to the hospital by the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, as part of an official agreement. To really get what's going on, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. This transfer didn't happen in a vacuum. It was part of a major U.S. brokered truce, and that context is absolutely key to understanding all of this. So here's the deal with the exchange mechanism. The agreement basically said that Hamas would return the remains of hostages who had died during the war, and in return, Israel would transfer the bodies of Palestinians who were killed in the fighting. And this just lays it out very clearly, side by side. It was meant to be a reciprocal arrangement with international bodies helping to mediate, all as part of a temporary truce. But when doctors began examining the bodies, another massive problem emerged. This one goes beyond just the physical evidence of how they died. It's what you could call a crisis of identity. And this is the question that's just haunting everyone involved, from the families of the missing to the doctors themselves. Out of those 90 bodies that were returned, hospital authorities reported that not a single one was identifiable when they arrived. And here's why trying to identify them has been so incredibly difficult. The bodies came with absolutely no personal ID. Instead, they just had numbered labels. On top of that, the hospitals in Gaza, which have been heavily damaged in the war, just don't have the ability to do DNA analysis. So what does that leave? It leaves the authorities with the heartbreaking task of asking relatives of missing people to come in and try to identify their loved ones themselves. It's a process that denies families any real certainty and just makes any attempt at accountability so much more complicated. Dr. Al-Farah, the same doctor who alleged executions, has a pretty stark opinion on why the bodies were returned without names. He's claiming this was a deliberate act, intended to inflict even more suffering on the families. Now, as for an official response, the source material says that when the Israel Defense Forces were asked about these allegations, they referred all the questions to the Israel Prison Service. At the time of the report, the prison service had been contacted for comment. So how does this one event fit into the wider conflict? Well, these allegations have huge implications, not just for the very fragile ceasefire, but for any chance of future accountability. You see, this issue of returning the deceased hasn't just been a humanitarian problem. It's been, and I'm quoting here, a major stumbling block for the entire truce. The whole process has been filled with delays and disputes from both sides. And this table really lays out that friction. Israel said it would slow down humanitarian aid because of delays in getting back the bodies of 28 hostages. They also claimed that one of the bodies Hamas returned wasn't actually a hostage. For its part, Hamas said it had already returned the remains of all the deceased hostages that it could physically get to. And you have to remember, all of this is unfolding while the International Criminal Court is watching. The ICC is already investigating allegations of war crimes committed by both sides during this conflict. That makes any evidence, like what the doctors at Nasser Hospital are claiming, incredibly significant for any future legal proceedings. Which really brings us to our final lingering question. For any kind of justice to be pursued, for the historical record to be accurate, and for families to ever find closure, victims need to have a name. So as an international court investigates, what happens to accountability when the dead can't even be identified?